Hey everyone, it's Kenny. For those of you who don't know me already, I'm currently a third year student here at ICO, and this is the first video in a new series that I'm creating with ICO called HINDSIGHT. You know, inevitably, if you put a bunch of us third years in a room together, pretty much without failure every time, the topic of kind of how our perspectives have changed over the past 3 years or just mindsets have changed because of all the experiences we had is going to come up. And at a point I sat back and I realized that kind of a conversation or that wisdom could be really helpful to somebody like an applicant, somebody thinking about optometry school, maybe even a family or friend who just kind of wants to get a look behind the curtain at what the past 3 years of experience have been like. So that's pretty much exactly what I did. I sat down with a couple friends of mine and we had some great conversation about a few different topics that I hope you enjoy. And you know what, I think without any further ado, we should just go ahead and roll the intro and you guys can see for yourself. I'm here today with two other third years. This is Taya and Sylwia. If you guys want to introduce yourselves, perhaps, where you're from, maybe where you went to college.
So my name is Sylvia. I am a third year here at ICO. I'm not too far. I'm in the suburbs of a little town called South Elgin. And I went to undergrad at Aurora University.
Yep, and my name is Taya. I'm also a third year here. Also from the suburbs, from Norwich, Illinois, and I went to DePaul University.
I want to talk about kind of being prepared for optometry school. So, we all take the same prereqs. We all took the same OAT. We all had the same roughly requirements for shadowing and stuff like that. We all had the same interviews. But when we started optometry school, did you feel like you were prepared?
No.
But
it's not like a bad thing. I don't think you can really prepare for this.
I don't think so either.
So, I mean, you can, it's hard. Like, you can get some experience and you can do these things. And of course it helps your comfort level and you kind of do feel prepared, but optometry school in itself is so much different than anything you've ever done before, that it's just a new experience. And not that it's a bad thing, but you can't really prepare for that new experience.
No,
Yeah, obviously it's going to sound super obvious and cliche, but you really don't know what something's going to be like until you do it,
exactly.
right? So,
right? Until you're here. What
about you, Taya?
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, right?
As much as you're like, okay, I took the classes I need to take, I got in, the hurdle is over, right?
Yes.
Like, I'm in,
yes.
I got it,
right?
I got this. But once you get in there,
you're like,
it's different. You're taking 7 science classes, 2 exams a week. It's, I don't think you can prepare either. You just got to get in and do it.
Previous experience in an ophthalmology, optical practice.
Yeah.
It can give you a sense of comfort, especially when you start to
for sure
do some of the more hands-on learning.
Yeah.
And stuff feels a little bit more familiar.
Right.
And you may have an experience already, talking with patients and being comfortable there.
Yeah.
And so, but that's really what it comes down to, I think, is a sense of comfort because, as Dr. Baker, our first clinical methods professor, really drove home or tried to drive home when we started, is that it doesn't matter where you've come from.
Absolutely.
We're going to start from
for sure
square one. Yeah.
This is an eyeball. Like, this is he's not joking. Like, it is step one.
Right.
Like, it does not matter where you came from.
I mean, Sylvia mentioned this earlier, but we both worked at, I don't know if I could say it, like a lens crafters.
Yeah.
But I worked there for now 5 years. I'm still working in there. And regardless, as much as I worked there, I came in still thinking I wasn't prepared. I came in, I had a little bit of experience here and there. Of course, you're comfortable talking to patients, maybe a little bit, but it's a completely different environment.
For sure.
Completely different.
I mean, it helped in a way of when I first saw a prescription written out,
Right.
I understood what that meant. And that was just because from my experience in asking around and, or just the basic anatomy of an eye or, we did different entrance testings as a tech. And so you learn those things or, especially glasses. I think a lot of the time, in optometry in the school, we do take a course where you learn the basics of glasses and lenses and stuff because it's important. But you kind of don't really focus too much of your energy on that because we're focused on something more. You know, we're focused on the health and disease and refractions and all that different stuff. But it's really nice knowing that background, so you can understand everything else and how that works. Because I've had patients come in and, you know, you're here for refraction or health or whatever, but then they ask you about their glasses. And if you don't look into that a little bit more, or you don't have experience about it, you're kind of lost. So it definitely helped in that aspect.
Yeah, I think glasses and the optics of glasses and stuff like that specifically is one of those things that you really have to have. I don't want to make this sound like you need to go get a job in an optical, but it's one of those things it really clicks a lot more when you actually hands-on have like practice, you know, manipulating glasses or fitting glasses. And to be honest, that's the case with a lot of things we learn. You know, they have to cover it in a textbook kind of a situation, but a lot of it clicks a lot better once you actually get that hands-on experience, which I don't want to sound like a salesman, but ICO is one of the schools that you get hands-on patient experience first quarter of optometry school, whereas some you don't see your first patient until maybe your third year, second year. So,
and as much as that scared me, thank goodness that we did it.
Right.
Like,
It really helped because we learned a lot of skills in our even just our first quarter that, you know, we practiced on each other and everything, but I didn't really feel like I actually really kind of grasp the reason why we're doing it until you start doing it on a real patient. And you have the opportunity to do that like within a month.
Oh yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. I remember how scared I was going in. And at the time, I was a first year and then I had a third year, that I was shadowing. It's so weird because now I'm a third year, like what? But you know, you come in and then they hand you like just like you know, anything and they're like, "Here, do a cover test." And you're like, "No, me? Me? I just learned this like 2 days ago." They're like, "Yeah, so do it."
That's
and you're like, "Oh my God," you know, but like it's so great that you do that because then, you know, I have other people in different optometry schools and they're like, "You saw a patient? Oh my God, you talked to another human?" You know, and you're like, "Yeah, I did a cover test all by myself," you know? Yeah. But it's you have this like one up, you know, kind of. True. You really do. Because then, you know, those other friends that I'm talking about who are in other optometry schools, they really did just start seeing patients and they now have to start practicing everything that they've learned.
That's terrifying.
Till now, right? But we're terrifying. In and we're like, okay, we kind of already know the first half or more, really, because we've already practiced that. So now we're coming in more focusing on not just being able to do these skills, because of course you're practicing that, but now what does this mean? What am I looking for? You know, and you're focusing more on that stuff, which is really cool.
Right. And I feel like it also gives you a good opportunity, you know, kind of putting the pieces together one at a time.
Yes.
Also gives you more of an opportunity while you're seeing patients to focus on communication and getting better at that.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than just sitting there with a checklist and trying to like check, got the refraction, got this, got that. Yeah. You have more of an opportunity to sit there and listen to what your patient's telling you, which is not only a great skill to have just for building a good repertoire with your patients or rapport.
Rapport probably,
Yes.
We got what you meant.
But also, there's a lot of really important information that you can get from just listening to your patient. You know, it's not all just about 1, 2, and then looking at the back of the eye. Yeah. A lot of it comes from, you know, your case history and stuff. I really think that, you know, taking things slowly over the course of 3 years gives you more of an opportunity to focus on that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's funny you mentioned cover test because so before we started optometry school, I spent some time working in a pretty large ophthalmology practice. So I got a ton of experience that I thought I was like learning a ton of stuff and like, oh, I'm pretty much like first year, this will be easy. Like I already pretty much know how to do everything. And then we sit down on the first day of class and it's like, here's a paddle, do a cover test, or here's what a cover test is. And I'm like, what's a cover test? Never seen that before.
Nope, me neither. Yeah.
And you know, that's just what it is. You're gonna learn a lot of skills that
so many.
You didn't even know optometrists did, or what the heck they were for. But it's great because it like really, like I said, started everybody from square one.
Yeah.
So talking about like preparedness in kind of a different context, did you guys feel like you were prepared for some of the more like core classes that we took?
I think, I mean, we have, you know, that the requirements that you have to take, and ICO is pretty, you know, they'll tell you what you need to take and stuff like that. And it definitely did help, you know, taking it in undergrad and having that, you know, just, you know, general anatomy or like physics or different stuff, which actually I'm not too sure if what ICO specifically has, because I know some optometry schools are different, and I kind of just took all of them, you know what I mean? I was just like, I should just prep and take all of it. But it definitely, you know, I came in and I had some background. So, you know, you are prepared a little bit, but at the same time, I remember getting done with like anatomy like the first day, and I was like, we just learned everything what I learned in a whole quarter in one day. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, like what else is there to learn? Like, you know what I mean? A lot.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a shock.
I think that anatomy course was a big, just like what for all of us, especially our class.
Gross anatomy was wild.
Yes. I remember all of us studying for that anatomy class in the lounge too. We were all just like, oh my God.
Or even just like first Saturday of the quarter, 1 week of classes in, I gotta
like,
go study.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I gotta go learn about the sympathetic chain.
No,
like,
really, I know.
Drawing pictures and stuff.
Yeah,
it was pretty wild. Yeah. So I kind of did things in a slightly different manner. From day one of college, I kind of knew that optometry school was what I wanted to shoot for, and so I had a very specific set of classes that I already knew I needed to take while I was in college. So I didn't necessarily bother taking stuff like invertebrate zoology or anything completely wild like that. And so I also knew I had a very short list of schools that I wanted to shoot for, and ICO was one of the schools that was at the top of that list. So I, from day one, was taking courses that they require. And at the end of it, I think really what I took away from those classes wasn't necessarily a background knowledge, because like we've been saying, even in some of those core classes like gross anatomy, albeit they did it in a single day, they will run through the basics for you. And so really what I think I took from that was taking those courses that I took in undergrad, using those to study for the OET, really helped me get used to the pace that you have to move at. You have 2 exams a week when you're a first year. You're moving very, very quickly. You're learning one thing, and then taking an exam 2 days later onto the next subject. So you might be going from gross anatomy to optics.
Very quickly.
And so the OET, you know, as much as I think some of us would hate to admit, was a pretty good kind of check mark or a good test of pace for kind of how that is.
Definitely. Yeah, I would definitely agree. Just the classes that we took in undergrad were so helpful. A lot of people don't even know this, but like you don't even have to major in biology or anything that
no.
when you come in here. But I think it does help just to get those core foundations and just to ease you into it a little bit more, even though it's probably not gonna.
I've heard that from other schools and other admissions departments and ICO as well, that your major like doesn't really matter as long as you take those core classes that you need. That's really what they focus on mainly. And you know, obviously, if you major in bio, a lot of those are going to come naturally with the degree, so it can make things a little bit smoother in that sense. But it really doesn't matter.
Well, you know, when I actually came into undergrad with a biology major, because I thought that was actually going to like get me to do all those different things, and I actually quickly learned that biology was like, okay, then you have to take zoology and and like plants and animals, and I'm like, wait, when am I going to do human stuff? You know what I mean? I was like, wait, so. You know, I actually changed my major because then I actually realized, like, optometry is what I want to do, and these are the courses that I have to do. So I actually changed my major so that they would fit more in line. But,
I did too. I went in as a bio major, and then I didn't want to take, like, Calc 2 or Calc 3 because it wasn't required. So I was like, okay, I'm changing it. And I did.
So what did you major in then?
Health science.
Health sciences, okay.
Yep.
I remember hearing that you used to take a lot of really cool classes.
I did.
Taya, oh my God, Taya's life. I'm so jealous of Taya's life.
What's the coolest class that you took in undergrad?
Oh my goodness, I took like a hip hop ethics class
Wow.
or something
like
that.
Where did that come from?
It was very cool. Very cool. My final paper was like about Beyonce or something.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was actually really fun. The nice thing about DePaul was like it was also a trimester, kind of how we have it. Well, we have a quarter system, I should say. It was trimester because we didn't have the summer, but here is quarter. But you could take a lot of extra classes as much as you want. So I took a lot of interesting ones. Yeah.
Well, you know, that actually I would say, like, if I had any advice for anybody, do what Taya did and don't do what I did. So, like, we actually both majored in health science, but I went ahead and grabbed 4 minors because I thought then, you know, biology and chemistry and physiology and, you know, I did all of those minors because I thought I need all of those preparatory courses. But really, major in whatever you want. Take other classes that interest you, because undergrad is your time to do those fun things. Of course, prep yourself with, you know, those anatomy courses and those health courses and everything like that you need. But, you know, once you get to optometry school, it is just that. You can't take a hip hop class. Like, how fun is that? You know what I mean? So for sure, like, do what Taya did. Don't worry too much. Like, the courses that you're going to take that are on the list that ICO needs is going to prep you, I think, enough.
Yep.
Because it's a whole different ballgame once you actually come to the school. So have some fun time in undergrad.
Right.
You know
especially,
what I mean?
especially if you're on a scholarship in any form in
oh
college.
My gosh, yeah.
Utilize that. Take some fun classes for sure. And you know, I think I don't want to speak for admissions at all at any school, but I think they actually do take a good interest in that because it also shows a well-rounded background.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm pretty sure at every interview that I went to for any optometry school, they didn't really ask me about any of those core classes.
No.
They asked me about the classes that I took that weren't core classes. And it wasn't because, why did you take this theater class or whatever? Like, that's a waste of time. No, they were interested in hearing, like, did you learn anything there? Like, was it fun? You know?
No, but they just want to get to know you as well. Like, what are you interested in? You know what I mean? Yeah, I would agree. Take fun classes, and enjoy it.
I think that's something kind of unique about optometry school specifically is that it's not so high competition. You know, I'm sure you've had experiences with the pre-med circles and how cutthroat it is, taking the MCAT, studying for the MCAT, shadowing, getting a job in like some sort of a medical practice. And it's stressful. I was friends with a lot of people who are now in med school, and they're still stressing, and they stressed every single day when we were in college. But for optometry school, that competition just really isn't there, you know? Not to say that it's not a competitive program in terms of challenging and that there is a high bar, which there is, but there's not this competition between students for grades or anything like that.
This is a whole team. Like,
Exactly.
everybody here is like a team, a huge team.
And ICO really, really wants you to know that. They make a huge deal and really try and hammer home that, like, we're all learning together so that we can all help each other.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Especially like in practice. Because I think, you know, it's kind of cool with how optometry as a career or as a part of the medical field has evolved over the past, you know, decades, that we have a lot more practicing ability. You know, you hear some of our professors talking about how when they were in optometry school, they didn't really even learn pharmacology because they couldn't legally prescribe any medications, which we do now. And so I think, you know, there's so many different avenues that you can go down within optometry that it really behooves us to collaboratively learn, because there's going to be something that you're interested in, and there's going to be something that your friend's interested in.
Right.
And maybe you're not quite feeling that when you're practicing, so you have somebody you can refer them to. It's just a really cool way of like integrating that mentality, because you're going to have to do that when you're practicing.
Right.
Obviously, none of us are quite there yet, but it's just like it happens even in our clinic. We'll send somebody to a different floor for something specific. And I think that's cool because, like I said, it kind of takes that cutthroat mentality out of it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I was scared for, coming in, you know, because like you said, you saw everybody in undergrad. Everybody's so competitive in those, you know, in health courses and stuff, and different programs that you're trying to get into. And I mean, of course it's going to happen, and it is a little bit competitive getting into different schools and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But once you're here, I was so relieved to know that it was not like these people are my competition.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not. You know what I mean? Like, I
agree.
walked in day one thinking, oh my God, I have...
You're okay?
Yes. I walked in day one thinking that everybody is going to be like against me, if that makes sense. Like, everybody here is to be top. You know what I mean? They're all gonna like come after me, if that makes sense.
Oh my God.
Not come after me particularly, but just like that everybody's gonna view everybody as a competition. But that's definitely not how it is. Like,
not at all. I think the exact opposite.
Yeah.
I had the same mentality when I came in, And I feel like I've made some of my best friends here in optometry school.
Oh, yeah.
Lifelong friends.
Absolutely. And even the three of us, we've talked before about like we've only known each other for 2 years.
Yep.
Like that's it, really?
Yeah.
Like it seems
Feels
like
15 years.
decades.
Yeah.
We're all so close to each other.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it's cool to think about all the stuff kind of in hindsight, because I would really like, if there's one thing kind of talking about all this that I like wish that I could kind of communicate to anybody thinking about applying or in the process of taking prerequisites or anything, is that it's just like there's no big rush against a crowd or anything like that. Like I remember thinking, oh my God, like it's a better time to take the OAT during like this particular cycle because of like less people take it, so there's less competition for scores, or like I want to apply right at the beginning of the application cycle so that it's like, don't worry about all of that. Like that's such like a wrong way to think about it. And I really like, I wish there was a good way. I know that's probably not going to communicate as well as I want it to, but you know, and I kind of knew that as soon as I sat down for an interview at ICO, that it was not like a matter of like, do you check all the boxes and did you hit the bar? Right. It really, like, I mean, yes, there are requirements, but it was really more about like determining if you were a well-rounded student who had the capacity to learn, who wanted to learn, and somebody who they felt was going to fit in at ICO. It really had nothing to do with, were you better than anybody else?
Yeah, and I know that's easier said than done. I know people are probably watching this like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, right. Like they're probably sitting there with their OAT, like, I'm going to shut this off because now I have to focus on this. Like,
but you're completely right. I went into my interview like prepared to answer these questions. Like I was ready to talk about my experience at Lens Purpose. I was ready to talk about my classes. I had a script ready. But no, they didn't ask any about that. They asked about my life and like where I came from and my family and like so much random conversations, because that's what they want to know. They want to know who you are as a person, not what you've done to get in
They
here.
can see it. It's
they
right
can
in front
see
of
it.
them.
It's in a paper right in front.
Did you guys ever look at, at least there was, there's like a spreadsheet that shows like the average GPA and average OAT score for like incoming students and applicants for every school in the country. So you
don't think I stared at that? Of course I did. Like
again, like I said, if I could go back, I'd probably spend less time worrying about that. 100%. And I remember thinking it was kind of hard to find that. I don't know about you guys, but it took me like probably about an hour to actually locate that spreadsheet. And I think there's a reason for that, because it doesn't, they don't want you to worry about that, you know? That data is like running rampant in other parts of education, you know, for grad programs, but I really don't think that's something they want you to concern yourself with too much for optometry schools specifically. And there are schools that are, you know, more competitive in that number sense, but like it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Yeah. And like we've kind of been saying this whole time, you start at square one. You know? Hey everyone, thanks for watching this first episode of Hindsight. If you enjoyed it, definitely stay tuned for our next episode, which will go up soon. We're going to talk a little bit about motivation and kind of what's gotten us through optometry school over the past 3 years. Of course, if you want any more information about ICO specifically or optometry school in general, definitely check out our website. It's ico.edu. Just 6 letters, pretty easy to remember. Definitely head over there if you have more questions or want more information, like I said. And with all that being said, we'll see you guys soon.